Hey everyone, welcome to Zeitgeist Zealots. I'm Forrest.
Majors in here, and I'm Robbie. And that totally counted down from 5 again. It didn't do it on your end?
No, it didn't start recording,
It,
and
it, it did it on my
Oh,
end.
yeah,
the
so it's
countdown
for
too? Or?
yeah. So trust me,
Okay.
we're not starting
As long
again. That's
as
my
as
point.
long as it's going.
Yeah, we're professional podcasts, I promise. So Matt's here also, and he's gonna give us some glamorous insights into House of the Dragon because I don't think he watched She-Hulk, but we'll go ahead and get She-Hulk out of the way. So let's talk about Twerkgate. And the fact that the last She-Hulk episode had Megan Thee Stallion, whose existence I wasn't aware of. At least I don't think I might have heard that name on social media or seen it in the airwaves somewhere. But I couldn't tell you if her song, which songs are hers or which songs are Nicki Minaj's. She seems like a
I'm
less
honest,
famous Nicki Minaj,
I'm honestly not that familiar with her.
I
unless
had no clue.
But
I'm not
I know.
the biggest rap
So
listener though either.
Yeah, but you know how every pop artist says their name in their song, so we know who they are.
Yeah.
So which makes it easier for attention with people with low attention spans to remember that name. Because not everyone has Shazam on their phone. But anyway, Megan Thee Stallion was on She-Hulk, and it was really weird. It was the B plot line where the male lawyer who is more likable than the other male lawyers had to defend the unlikable male lawyer because not she elf, but a regular elf, a female elf, tricked him into thinking that she was Megan Thee Stallion. So he bought her a lot of gifts, totaling $175,000, and he found out that it was a old elf and not Megan Thee Stallion. He decided to sue. So that was the B story, and I guess that's one semi-interesting way to handle supernatural law or superhuman law, which is the whole point of She-Hulk anyway. So, but yeah, what did you think of that storyline, Rob? Think it was stupid, good, in between?
Uh, yeah, it's all right. I find She-Hulk watchable. I've been enjoying it. There's
Well, I think
some
well, I
parts
think
that
with
I'm like, but
yeah, well, I think the issue, is a show like this is every episode has to have not a cameo, but if it involves superhuman law, it has to have some facet from the Marvel universe interrelated into that case. So
I see she's kind of like a Deadpool where she breaks the fourth wall all the time now.
yeah, I think that was
I saw
started
some
when
saw some YouTube videos where she does that in the comics too. I haven't
yeah, she
actually
started
read
doing
the
the comics.
comics.
I don't know. I think she started doing during John Byrne's run. I could be wrong, but literally she would talk to the she would make fun of the artist John Byrne in the comic. And I think I mentioned this in the last podcast. There's an episode where someone in the fan in the letters page at the end of every comic. I think some of them said one of the questions they posed to readers was, "What do you want to see most in a She-Hulk comic?" And some guy wrote in, "I want to see She-Hulk jump naked or do jump rope naked." And then literally 10
And that
issues
was in
later
the
they did that.
that was in the
Yeah,
comic.
yeah, that
Yeah,
was 10 issues
I
later.
saw the picture for that.
And it was Marvel, they'll do anything to sell a comic. So that was definitely one
Yeah.
of those characters that definitely broke the fourth wall before Deadpool was doing it. But I think Deadpool is probably better known for it.
Oh, she's older
So
in Deadpool.
oh yeah, Deadpool didn't come around until I think the early '90s, and She-Hulk I think was
Oh,
1980.
okay.
So she's been
I've
around for
never been
10
that
or
familiar with She-Hulk.
yeah. Well, I think Major mentioned this, but I think the whole reason She-Hulk was created wasn't because they wanted to do a female Hulk. I think just because I think they were going to do a She-Hulk TV show, and Stanley was like, "Well, we got to trademark the name before, or we'll lose all merchandising or way to monetize it." So, same thing with Captain Marvel. The only reason Captain Marvel exists is because they wanted the trademark name, and I think they lost it because I think the original Captain Marvel from the '40s, which is what Shazam is now, he lost a lawsuit from DC, and so the trademark was up for. So Stanley created a character called Captain Marvel, and then we got Miss Marvel out of that, and then Miss Marvel became Captain Marvel later. So But yeah, so back to She-Hulk. There was another case with the Abomination and his parole hearing, and they explained why he broke out of prison to go fight with
Fight Wong.
during the tournament. Yeah, so I thought they would have like some sort of history together, but apparently Wong just chose him randomly to be his opponent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wasn't really happy with the explanation. I mean, I guess it's adequate. I guess it makes sense, but like they didn't really put a whole lot of thought into it.
Yeah, you had to fight him for to be Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, they just wanted like some Easter eggs and Shang-Chi, so they just go, let's get Abomination and Wong, and we'll explain it later. And then like the explanation they came up with wasn't that great, but
it does feel like Phase 4 just doesn't feel the same.
No, because like Tony's gone, Captain America's gone.
Well,
Hulk
and
is...
it just feels like they focus more on jokes than like the story.
I mean, let's not kid ourselves and think there has been jokes since Phase 1, but
but they're a lot heavier.
They're definitely cranking. They're definitely cranking up. I do think Eternals is pretty joyless though. Although, what was the guy named Kingo? I guess he was the comedy relief. Although I guess not very successfully. Yeah, Eternals is pretty dour. I don't think Black Widow will. I guess they got the guy from Stranger Things. I guess he was the comic relief. They have the doofy male character. So, but yeah, Phase 4 has been disappointment. I didn't even really like Endgame that much. So I mean, the only thing like post Endgame or really post Infinity War that I've enjoyed is probably just No Way Home, and that's not even like really a true Marvel movie. I guess it is, but it's like there's such a tug of war between Sony and Marvel about what characters they can use and can't use. So. But yeah, so Abomination, I guess when he transforms, he doesn't have a penis, or was he still wearing like some sort of undergarment?
Yeah,
It looks like he was.
I don't think. I guess he does. I never really thought about it.
So why was he wearing like a leotard in Shang-Chi? What was he hiding? He had nothing to hide if his.
Well, when he was in the.
Away.
Oh wait, was he in the arena?
Yeah, he had like some sort of like leotard on, or like some sort of like
Oh.
not diaper, but like like Speedo covering.
You remind me of that character from Mallrats. Great movie, by the way, where he's obsessed with those types of things, and he actually sits down with Stanley and asks him those.
He asked if Abomination
friends and says he's a bit too obsessed with this kind of things.
Well, I know like Stan Lee's in that movie. I've only seen bits and pieces of it. I know it's like Kevin Smith's second movie. It's not as good as Clerks, but I know. I think I think like I don't know in the last Shang-Chi movie, it looked like he didn't have a penis in this. It's kind of a weird thing to bring up, especially with his 7 wives, outside, and he might not be able to handle the job of having 7 wives if he can't he doesn't have the tools to satisfy them. So
do you think you think he actually is going to turn to the Abomination again when they're saying they're putting that?
Well, there was a promo where it showed him.
They're putting something on him to suppress it.
Yeah. Well, there's a promo with the Abomination, like a Hawaiian shirt, a few episodes down the road. So I think he does become an Abomination. But there's also promos where he's like doing his own like self-help clinic. That's what he says he's gonna do when he finishes. When he leaves prison, he's gonna start his own self-help clinic or, some sort of rehab for supervillains or superheroes. So Abomination becomes, I guess his parole's granted, and what else happens? Oh yeah, and then the final scene, the Wrecking Crew shows up, and they attack She-Hulk, and they don't make a dent in her, even though they have Asgardian weapons. Or Asgardian construction. What was that?
You don't say. They do nothing to her?
The Wrecking Crew...
What?
They can't even, get a single hit on her. And, the Wrecking Crew is, probably one of the most powerful teams in the Marvel Universe. Supervillain teams. Because they fight Hulk and Thor and, the Defenders and the Avengers regularly. So... I think they're mainly just Thor villains. Even hold your own against Thor. You should be able to hold your own against She-Hulk easily. But of course, in this show, they're complete jokes. They're just a bunch of goofballs, and they try to attack her, and she dispatches them with ease. And apparently, they're trying to get her blood. and they fail, of course. So they said like the boss is going to be mad. So we don't know who the boss is yet. My feeling is going to be Titania because we haven't seen her since episode 1. It's probably Mephisto. Yeah, silly me. I think another theory is it's the leader from the first Incredible Hulk, the guy with the big head. And I think some other theories were maybe I don't know, Doctor Doom, but I doubt they're going to do that. So it's probably Titania or the leader, so one of those two. But yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I think this was the first episode with like a B story that wasn't completely focused on Jen. So that was interesting. So I'm guessing we're going to see more of those in the future. And I really have nothing else to say about this episode. They had the twerk scene at the end with Megan Thee Stallion. Oh yeah, it turns out Megan Thee Stallion was apparently in the courtroom randomly.
Oh yeah, she popped up in the back.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, that's a little too on the nose. So
well, and then they had the whole talk with Wong, and then then they were. I think they were about to arrest him or something, and he was like, "Well, I gotta go," and he makes a point.
Oh yeah, it's like you broke a prisoner out of prison, which is a crime.
I must leave, or I forgot exactly what he said. It was kind of funny.
So I guess Wong's a fugitive for the rest of his time in the MCU. Although I'm guessing it'll never be brought up again. The fact that he broke a guy out of prison.
They've been kind of comedic about it.
Yeah, I mean, basically, like what the rest of everyone who sided with Steve Rogers in Civil War is a free man now, basically, anyway. So, there's no consequences in this universe anymore.
How many buildings they destroyed?
Yeah, there's no consequences, but yeah. So She-Hulk. So I don't know. I'm guessing there's gonna be more zany superhuman cases next week. Hopefully we'll find out who hired the Wrecking Crew to get James'
they just
blood.
said their boss.
Yeah, so we'll find out. I don't think we're going to see Bruce Banner again the rest of the season. I don't think. We'll get more cameos. Hopefully Daredevil shows up next week. We'll see how. I don't know. I'm very apprehensive to see how they handle Daredevil because he has the yellow costume on, and I know it's being done for fan service, but it's just like there's a reason it was changed from bright yellow to all red. Because I think they realized no one could take this character seriously if he dressed all in yellow. So, it might have been like a fun Easter egg, but to have him dressed up all in yellow, yeah. So, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, they didn't really treat Kingpin with the most respect in Hawkeye, so we'll just see how it goes. But yeah, let's move on to House of the Dragon. So, spoiler alert: bye Crab Feeder.
Yeah.
I guess you won't be the main villain of the season.
Yeah.
It's like they build up so much, his introduction was so ominous in the last episode, and then boom, he's dead. And he's really dead. He got cut in half by Damon. So, what did you think of this past episode? I guess, Matt, since you actually saw House of the Dragon, what were your thoughts? You still with us, Matt?
Yeah, I'm still with you. Sorry. Intriguing enough to keep me to watch another episode, but starting to lose, faith in the show is kind of my high review.
Yeah, it's kind of I found out recently that this entire series is based off 2 novellas by George R.R. Martin, The Rogue Prince and The Princess and the Queen. So it definitely feels like they're doing what Peter Jackson did with The Hobbit. They're trying to stretch out these novellas to last multiple seasons when they really should only last maybe a handful of episodes. So it definitely seems they don't have as much detail or events or stuff going on like they did in the Game of Thrones or the Song of Ice and Fire novels to stretch the story over across an entire season. So it definitely seems like they're sort of waning. And because I think at least Viserys is going to live to the end of the season, but we all know there's going to be a civil war between Alicent and Rhaenyra that becomes the Dance of the Dragons. I don't know, but I'm wondering if they're going to do that in season 2 or just try to stretch it out till season 3. If they wait till season 3, it's going to be a problem because there's going to be some really boring episodes. But it seems like they really should have tried to make this Crab Feeder arc last a few episodes longer. But maybe they'll come up with something else. But yeah, so are y'all sad See the crab feeder dead already without even getting knowing him.
I am more upset with how he died than him dying.
Yeah,
he was
in
killed
the
off screen.
in the cave. Yeah, then you don't even see it happen. He just comes out with the torso. Damon.
But just the fact that Damon comes under a flag of surrender and then stabs his way through half an army, only gets shot by 3 arrows.
He was so dead if
full superhuman mode. And then when those signaling, everybody knows what to do. You know, it's lazy writing, very lazy writing. It's like how
at least you could see. At least you could see the battle, unlike what what was the Battle of Winterfell, or what was
so
the.
So that was my problem after this episode, though. Too, there were several times during the episode, especially when when the boar attacked, or like just when they're talking over the candlelights. Like I couldn't see anything on my TV, and it was frustrating. And I know that's a problem with OLEDs, but yeah, during this episode, several times I couldn't see anything. But I have an OLED TV, so I know that's like a problem with OLEDs, but still, like the scene where the boar attacked, it's literally just one fire pit in the middle of the thing. Everything else is black. It's like, come on.
Yeah. There was another time jump this episode also. You know, so it's like, I think it was like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I think like 3 years.
Aegon, second of his name.
Because
Aegon,
he was 2 years old, and then you get a whole birth cycle.
And there's going to be another Viserys, because I'm rewatching Game of Thrones, and I know Viserys in that show is the third of his name. And I think I read online, Rhaenyra's son's going to be Viserys the second, perhaps. So, you know, there's a lot of... and, you know, we got to get to the Civil War, but, yeah, what else? It's interesting. We met 2 Lannister twins that weren't banging each other this episode.
But we did get a creepy offer of a 2-year-old marrying a teenager. So
yes, we got our second creepy marriage proposal this season. So like this is there's one thing I've been saying about the show is there not enough prepubescent proposals. You know, that's the one problem with this show. You know, too few. No, yeah, I think
you see that 2-year-old over there? That could work.
Yeah. I thought, like, I guess Viserys. Go ahead, Matt.
I was going to say the issue I'm having with the show is I love the political intrigue and the court, you know, going back and forth and everything, but it's just they don't do it well in the show. Like I could read this no problem and be excited. But it just seems boring, and the characters, the actors, a lot of them, like, they never emote, and, like, they just seem like they're there to say their lines and leave. So it's just kind of frustrating to watch.
Yeah, I just noticed that the guy playing the Lannister twins was also in the first season of Game of Thrones. He was the knight who was Jon Arryn's squire who was killed by the Mountain in the first joust. So they brought that actor back to be the Lannister twins. So I thought that was interesting. Because like basically every actor in the UK has been in Game of Thrones. So it's like I think they just ran out of actors. They're just like recycling them to be in House of the Dragon. So, you know.
But yeah, I definitely get the vibe that they're just dragging it out. You know, I'd rather you come up with new stuff than drag these stories longer.
Yeah, so I don't know how long the novellas were. I guess they're like maybe like a quarter of one of the novels. So like the fact that they're trying to like stretch an entire season, or maybe stretch multiple seasons with a single novella, is ridiculous. So like they need to like, I mean, that's why the Crab Feeder arc should have been like 3 or 4 episodes, you know, at least, just to like, you know.
It's like why does the Crab Feeder have grayscale? I would be interested to know about that.
I thought it was like a burn victim or something, but it could have been like some sort of other.
It was totally grayscale.
What's grayscale? I don't know what that is.
That's the disease that affects, what's her name? Oh, why can't I? The Lord of, what's his name, who ends up leading the army north and then kills his daughter to sacrifice for his army to win. Yeah, Stannis Baratheon. His daughter had grayscale.
Okay, so that's
And
a
it's a
fictional
disease that slowly takes over your body, and you turn to stone.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, I guess we're not gonna find that out. So you think they killed? I definitely think they killed it prematurely. So, um, but yeah, so like a lot of this episode, there was the hunt, and it made me think the hunt from Game of Thrones, where Robert Baratheon was killed by the boar. But it seems like Viserys just wasn't really having. He's kind of just like getting drunk the entire episode, and like
More
pissed off
wine.
that.
More
Yeah,
wine.
it's kind of like, are you gonna make your
Well,
son the heir? He's like, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Let me drink.
it's interesting how she kills the boar, and then
Oh, it, like
Viserys
takes
kills
her anger
the
out on it.
yeah. But so she'll kill when she needs to, and when Viserys tries to kill the stag, he only wants to do it because that's what he has to do, and even then
White
it takes him 2
stag.
strikes to do it. Then she sees the white stag, which is the House Baratheon, coat of arms. So I find the
Oh,
Your mic's
Yeah.
breaking up.
sorry.
wasn't well, we saw the Lannisters. I think we briefly saw one of the Baratheons in the first episode. He's like swearing fealty. There was a Stark, obviously. There was a Baratheon. Probably like a Tully. But I don't think there's been like any Baratheons like as a main character in this. I think we briefly met one of the, one of his advisors is Sir Strong or Lord Strong or whatever. I think we like his son like has like the limp or like the missing leg or whatever.
Yep.
And then I think like another one of his brothers. So how come the Strong House wasn't in Game of Thrones, or was it? Was there a Strong House? House Strong?
There was, but they were minor. So I think they're
maybe
briefly
they
mentioned.
lost. Maybe they just like lost power between, maybe because they were little Targaryens. And yeah, there's a lot of different houses to keep up with. Well, it's like there's the main houses, and then there's like the bannermen, which are also made up of lords, right? So it's kind of tough to determine,
I mean, the world is so
who's important or not.
expansive. There's a reason
Yeah.
why in the books, when somebody dies, somebody's immediately there to fill in their position.
Someone's like, and like people are like made lords all the time. Like I remember, like was it not Feast of Crows, but a Storm of Crowns, the second book. Like there's like a guy who just was an informant for Lord Varys, and he became a lord. And he had like his own initiation ceremony where he gets his house gets his own sigil and stuff like that. So like I'm sure new houses sprout up all the time once people like own land or like lose land or lose property or whatever. So I noticed there was like an actual Asian soldier working for House Valerian in this episode. I wonder if that was because the guy from Mortal Kombat complained there were no Asian actors in House of the Dragon, or there was no Asian actors in Rings of Power. So, were there any Asians in Game of Thrones? Because I think like there was an episode I just watched recently where
When they were in Essos, there was a ton of Asian-like characters.
Okay, because I remember who was the head of the king? Who was the head of the King's Guard in the first season? He was like the main knight for the king. What's his name? Barrister, Sir Barrister or whatever. I think he said he killed like a Tashiro. This is like a samurai or something like that. So I was wondering if like Tashiros were like a name of a family or like a ninja sort of warrior, but I guess not. So. Yeah, there's just a lot of lore I've forgotten from like the book and a half I've read. But
this book was 12 years ago. So the last time I read a book was 12 years ago by him. So it's easy to forget over 12 years George R. R. Martin.
I'm seeing.
well, he's been writing. It seems like he literally wrote this Targaryen saga about like Rhaenyra and Viserys just so he could get his own show from HBO because I think the showrunners from Game of Thrones shut him out. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to write something else, and when they adapt that, I'm not going to let them adapt unless I'm in charge, or something like that. So, but he seems, I don't know. I think does George R. R. Martin have more of a say in this show than he did Game of Thrones?
No idea.
Yeah,
Okay. I think like I remember seeing like in the credits like it was co-created by Martin and this other dude Ryan Lindell, but. We'll see. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. From the major consensus is that it's better than season eight of Game of Thrones. But
But that's a very low bar. And like I said,
yeah. So I think that's why people are like overpraising it. But I'm enjoying it so far. I mean, it definitely what I liked about Game of Thrones. You know, the political intrigue, the backstabbing, all the violence and stuff. But like now the dragons are at the beginning of the show rather than like towards the end. So, I guess they had that hook for everyone.
It's looking like George R. R. George
Jar Jar.
Martin. Yeah.
Mason never gonna finish the book.
Admitted he has more influence on the new House of Dragon series than on the original show.
Yeah, I think he literally said, like, don't blame me for season 8 of Game of Thrones. They completely shut me out. So the showrunners, so like, you can't blame me for that.
So I will say the only other thing that I'm baffled by with this show that confuses me is the budget it has, and at times the CGI is god awful. Like god awful. It's like you can tell things.
Some of the green screens when they're riding the dragon are like so obvious that they're just green screen.
Or just the layering. At times, the layering seems off, like stuff that's happening in the background when the ships were going across the sea, and they scroll to the soldiers. Like the layering looks wonky, and it's like you had this much of a budget. I think it's like $60 million an episode or something crazy.
Oh. Well, watch an episode of The Flash or Supergirl, and then watch an episode of House of Dragon, and then I think you'll enjoy it much more.
Yeah.
Oh
man, the budget.
I think The Flash is maybe. The Flash is maybe like $250,000 for CGI.
I just couldn't continue, and I tried jumping in one of the newer episodes.
I couldn't even finish season 3. I think I started season 3 and just never got into it because
I watched the first few seasons, but oh man, the most
they kept doing like speedster villain,
so
like
bad.
I am the fastest man alive, except for Reverse Flash, except for Zoom, except for Savitar. Although I guess he is Savitar. So, but then like except for Godspeed, But they'll probably get another speedster villain in season 8, or I don't know.
The quality
but yeah,
of the sets on there are just so bad.
Yeah, but one of the things about House of Dragon is like I guess the costumes, and I guess the the detail for all the non CGI stuff is very good. So I commend them for that. But speaking of like gigantic budgets. You saw Rings of Power, though, so what do you think of the CGI on that, though, Matt? We're taking a little bit of a segue, but we can stick on House of Dragon. We can come back to it.
From what I saw before I fell asleep, it looked rather amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing
really
to look
good.
at, but it's just like the writing, or it's just so slow-paced, and, I understand that, I'm not a Tolkien scholar at all, but, my understanding is that the wizards didn't show up until the Third Age, and we have a Gandalf-like character already showing up, which may or may not be Gandalf, the Meteor Man. You see that movie? There's a movie called Meteor Man. It's like a black superhero in like a green cape. It has like Sinbad in it.
And it is awesome. It's not Sinbad.
It's actually really good. It's actually a really good superhero movie. It's like a really like it's funny, but it's like at times it also can be serious because it's really about like a guy like standing up to gang violence in his neighborhood and stuff.
So I'm not on top of like all my Lord of the Rings history. So that's not supposed to be like Gandalf when he got there or something. Or
Gandalf doesn't show up until
the wizards. Who that is.
We don't know who it is, but it's strongly hinted that it is Gandalf because like Gandalf's symbol is fire, and he arrived covered in fire. He's discovered by hobbits or Harfoots, and he has such a strong affinity for hobbits, like in the Third Age. So this is probably explaining like they rescued him, so that's why he likes hobbits so much. And he draws runes that are similar to like Gandalf's rune, and
it did make sense to me. I never really knew like how the story of Gandalf.
But like in the official canon, the wizards didn't show up until like 1,000 years in the Third Age, like after Sauron was defeated the first time. So
did they come down Gandalf from a meteor? or I wonder what the story behind that.
Well, it doesn't say. It just says like the Valar, which like the gods of Middle Earth sent them down to like help out against Sauron, and there were 5 of them. But I think
everyone speaks English but him in all these different lands.
He still speaks Maiaran or whatever. I guess whatever it is, the ancient language of the gods. But I think there's a theory out there. It could be one of the Blue Wizards because I think Tolkien did write, although it could contradict what he said later. But they found like letters or like some notes where he said the Blue Wizards were around in the Second Age. So it could be one of the Blue Wizards. I think Alatar Palando, which we never saw in the Hobbit or Lord of the Rings films. So, could be one of them. What do you think, Matt? Or you haven't seen it yet, the episode. but you know
I
about it,
haven't.
right?
I haven't really watched it. So
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I'm gonna go back to that this week.
I mean, it's definitely the most interesting storyline going on in the show because there's a storyline with Galadriel, there's a storyline with Elrond and Celebrimbor and making the Rings of Power. There's a story with the Harfoots and now the Stranger, and then there's the story with the interracial elf and human chick, and I think they discover the orcs or something. So there's like 4 main storylines going on. They'll probably add some more, but I think of the 4, the ones with the Meteor Man was the most interesting. It's probably the one everyone's talking about the most because I think
that's pretty interesting.
The storyline with I
Makes you
will
want
say
to know more.
I think it's moderately intriguing, but not really quite entertaining. Or at least House of Dragon is moderately entertaining. And it's sometimes like actually entertaining because I thought the final battle, despite how far fetched and ridiculous it was interesting.
I
thought like because I thought like most of episode 3 was like a bore. It was like no pun intended, like BORE, a bore, because it was just like just Rhaenyra's not wanting to get married, Viserys wanting to get married,
And they go on
deciding
their
who's
hunt.
gonna be the king. And like literally like Viserys like outburst was like how I felt about the show. Like I get it, there's politics in it. Like do something else. It's like I'm so sick of fucking politicking all the time. I'm just like, I hear you, Viserys.
I know.
Let's
Felt
see
them
some
there.
more sword fighting. Yeah, it's like
Sorry,
I get it.
tired
It's
of all
the
this
heir.
politic.
The king's heir is very important. It's like it's the only thing they're talking about. Who's gonna be the heir? Who's gonna be the heir? Who's gonna be the heir? And it's like
Oh my god, that really is like all they talk about.
it's basically all Game of Thrones is about too.
But
Like, who's the heir?
that's kind
Who's
of
the
like
king?
his story of like having to struggle with all that.
Yeah.
As a side note, is it just me, or does Damon's sword look like the sword from Highlander?
The sword from Highlander. You mean
Yeah.
like the katana sword? I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
No, not the TV show, the movie.
The movie Highlander. He had a katana sword in that one. Because remember, Villa Lobos gave it to
He
him.
had the second one where he had the claymore.
Oh, I still never saw Highlander 2. The one with Sean Connery comes back and it's in the future?
Yeah, that everybody hates, but is the best one.
Is the best one? Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet. But I know he has a katana sword in the first one, and I think he has it in the show also. But, I don't know. I guess he had a claymore sword then in this one. But yeah, so I like Damon as a character because he had no lines in this episode. I think he just showed up at the beginning. His dragon.
Yeah, he didn't really say much. Now that you point that out, yeah.
Because he gave him the letter, he like reads it, doesn't say anything, like smashes the guy's head in, and then
beats the messenger.
Yeah, I guess why was he mad at the messenger? I forgot. Was it because he did not want?
It was because his dad was, his brother was sending reinforcements.
Oh, because he was failing.
And
Okay.
Yeah, because he wanted to prove that he could do this himself.
Oh, okay. I thought it was because like they asked him for help, and that's why that confused me. So, but so I guess we'll see some. We'll find out what the consequences will be when Daemon takes over the Stepstones or whatever. What are the Stepstones? Are they like across the continent in Westeros, or are they part of Westeros?
There used to be a land bridge between Essos and Westeros. But over time, earthquakes and such. So basically, there are these uninhabitable, islands that have a ton of caves that you can't grow anything on.
Mm-hmm.
So for pirates, and the reason why the Triarchy is ours because they went through, destroyed all the pirates, and now the Triarchy is trying to set their get in power there because it's a major trade route. So if they can choke off that trade route, charge taxes, then they'll be more powerful.
Oh, okay. So that's why they needed the Stepstones. Oh, that's interesting. So that was never a factor in Game of Thrones, was it? So
they do mention it because it's next to Dorne, and it's how Essos and Dorne would go after each other was through the Stepstones. So I think what's his name over in Martell did some battles in the Stepstones, and that's why he's so crazy.
Is Martell a character in Game of Thrones? I'm still in season 1, so. But I'll get to it all eventually. I need to finish the second book. So, so I'm guessing that there's gonna be more tension between Rhaenyra and Alicent. Viserys is looking older, than he did last episode. Obviously, because it's been like 3 years, but he seems to be aging rapidly. He's cut himself.
He's
missing 2 fingers.
He's so stressed out.
Oh, I didn't see that at all.
Oh, I didn't even pay attention to that. But yeah, he had.
So I guess he cut himself again. Oh.
He had something going on.
No, so remember when he cut himself on the hand in the last episode?
If you
look when he was talking with his pregnant wife. Yeah. So when he was drinking and his pregnant wife was talking to him, Lady Hightower there, he's missing 2 fingers.
Wow.
I did not even pay attention.
Whoops. Eagle eye here. So, and what else is going to happen? Do you know why he was getting so infected from the throne, Matt? Or because I don't think it was an issue.
It's a symbol that he's weak, because they mentioned in the Game of Thrones, I think like season 2 or 1, that you must have power to sit on this. And they even mentioned a king who caught infection from being cut by the throne. So it's been hinted that this is an issue.
The Iron Throne that was never clean, so don't cut yourself on it.
Yeah, they should probably spray it down before someone sits on it, like at a gym.
I'm sure there's some disease on there that he got into when he cut his finger.
Well, a lot of diseases can't survive long without they'll usually die out. I think.
Well, I think it symbolizes how weak he is.
Yeah, absolutely.
He can't fend off something as small as a cut, let alone the several cuts he's taking in his empire by trying to please everybody.
Yeah, he's been trying to run things peacefully.
Do you think he's going to survive the season, or do you think he's going to be killed halfway off like Ned Stark?
I say the penultimate episode of the season.
It wouldn't surprise me if something happens, but I don't know.
Maybe not so. Maybe not that early.
Later on.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if this series is gonna kill main characters off, because there's only 3 main characters. There's Rhaenyra's, Viserys, Daemon.
Who was it in the beginning of Game of Thrones?
Otto Hightower and his daughter. So just there's 5. So it's there's not enough main characters to kill off. It seems.
Well, the night she made part of the watch there is definitely gonna die. One that spent the whole episode with her, he's dead.
Okay.
Definitely.
Well, he's not like a major character though. I think I read one of the Strong twins, or one of the sons of Sir Strong or Lord Strong, is gonna not marry Rhaenyra, but I think be the father of her children, because I think she marries one of the Valerians, and the guy she marries is gay or something. So it's sort of like a Robert Baratheon, Cersei Lannister thing, where he's the father but not really the father. So. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm enjoying the series for what it is. This is a pretty slow episode, except for the ending. But I like Paddy Constantine as the lead. He's sort of the opposite of Ned Stark. He's
I'm losing faith. I'm hoping the next episode will pick it up a little bit more, but I cannot stand Matt Smith as Daemon. I laugh every time I see him. I can't take him seriously.
Because he's Doctor Who?
Yeah, Doctor Who and all the other characters he plays, so.
Oh.
Well, it's his film career post Doctor Who didn't really take off. There was Terminator, Jenny Craig Smith, and there was Morbius.
Maybe I do better not knowing that information, because then I'll just forget that too.
But I think he was on The Crown though. That was a Netflix show that was pretty good. I haven't seen it, but I hear it's good things. So I think he's a good actor. I like he's not obviously he's supposed to be an asshole, and but he's definitely more suited to be king than Viserys. Everyone named Viserys is just not fit to be king, because there's Viserys in Game of Thrones, and I think Jorah Mormont says your brother Rhaegar was the last dragon. Viserys isn't even the shadow of a snake. So I guess that name is cursed. So, oh well. So, predictions for next season? I mean, not next season, but next episode.
Political intrigue. Who's going to marry who?
more of that.
More of Damon being Damon.
More politicking.
Yeah.
Well, now that the crab feeders are gone, what's going
I know, it's just like that was like I was really interested to see like that pick up and like the crab feeder become like a big
they just
villain.
kind of moved on after they.
And it's like okay, now we're back where we started, like because like the whole reason like we were gonna like to make a like unlikable character likable is you have to introduce a more unlikable character. And I thought the crab feeder was gonna be that character, make Damon more likable, but now the crab feeder's gone.
Now
so
Damon killed the crab feeder.
Now we go back to disliking Damon, but like Damon had like a chance to like be likable, and like this crab feeder guy, like more of an asshole than he is. But I don't know.
Maybe they'll go back to what they have planned. What's his name? Who runs the Navy? Corliss.
Yeah, the sea snake.
Yeah, maybe we'll see what him and Damon have plotting. See what they're plotting.
Well, they're, yeah. I mean, there's a, like I said, like this is a Game of Thrones show. There's gonna be a civil war. So, but I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely liking it more than Rings. It's more entertaining than Rings of Power. Rings of Power. I really like the second episode more than the first one, but it's really like because like more so than the novellas House of the Dragon is adapting. The Second Age, I think Tolkien only wrote like 20 pages about it, and the Silmarillion, and there's like some more about it in like Unfinished Tales and the appendices, but there's really, really, really not a whole lot of story to adapt about the Second Age. Like there's like no dialogue, no narrative. It's like all just like footnotes about what happened before Lord of the Rings. So it's like they're really stretching material that doesn't exist. So, but I think in the case of House of the Dragon, this is a narrative though, so like I think the storytelling beats are there, but we'll see about Rings of Power. At least it's nice to look at. It's they definitely put their, and the music was much better in episode 2. Like I think like when Elrond goes into the dwarf mine, the music is very good.
One thing that kind of bugged me in the first episode when they were climbing that mountain, and all of a sudden it was all windy and they were in a line. There was parts of the scene where it was supposed to still be really windy, but you noticed their clothes weren't even moving or being blown around at all, and like
they couldn't afford a fan. They spent it all on CGI. And the dwarf women don't have beards. I think like the dwarf woman, like the dwarf wife in this show, had facial hair but not a beard. So yeah, I don't know. I think Matt, it might be worth your interest. I don't think you're gonna like it, but we'd love to hear your thoughts on it next week. I think episode 3
definitely. I'm gonna try to catch up this week. So
well, do you boys want to? I mean, I can like take a back seat if you want to talk about Rick and Morty.
We can save that for next week. Do 2 episodes next week.
Yeah, because I think we had like 2 episodes of Rings of Power to go through today, but I think Major would have. I think he has some funny thoughts on it.
I would like to get Major's opinion on it.
Yeah.
Because I know Robbie loved it. Rick and Morty. I hated it.
I'm pretty sure Joyce.
I'm just a big Rick and Morty fan too, though.
Robbie, I'm convinced
I kind of liked all the references and stuff.
Justin Roiland could feel himself getting a colonoscopy, and if they put the Rick and Morty intro in front of it, I think he would love it. So,
no.
Just like just a close up on his sphincter. You're like, yes, I love this show. Anyway,
you just have Rick in the background.
Rub-a-dub, wubba-dubba-dub-dub, or whatever was his
But hey, one thing is like the portal gun isn't working anymore, so that's like a big thing in this episode.
Well, they had the gold portal, so it was like the multiverse that doesn't, where Rick isn't the smartest person in the universe.
Well, there is like a new Rick they're meeting up with.
Not a smart Rick.
But the Rick who showed up to the Rick we know and showed him the portal fluid, how to helped him with.
I don't remember the continuity. Continuity in Rick and Morty is so sparse. It's like I can't remember anything. When they try to do a continuity episode. But it shows up on HBO Max. I might even actually rent it because I do like the ideas in Rick and Morty. I don't really think it's a very funny show, but I do like the ideas and some of the storytelling in it. So, which is like I'm trying to get major. That's why I'm trying to get y'all to watch Venture Brothers. It's not like laugh out loud funny, but I think the story will hook you in. And Venture Brothers is very, very strong continuity.
I like Rick and Morty. Philosophy Rick and Morty more than the actual show. The blatant nihilism. Philosophy?
Yeah.
The blatant nihilism.
Do you remember that episode of the Jerry Daycare? And they might not have gotten the right Jerry.
Of course they didn't. That's the whole point of those types of shows is
they bring that back up.
Yeah, it's the whole point of those episodes where any show there's multiple versions of a certain character. That character might not be the real character. Literally, I think in the Clone Saga in Spider-Man, they said that the clone that Peter Parker killed in the 60s or the 70s when he was first fighting the Jackal was the real Peter Parker in the and then in the 90s they revealed that, and they said Peter Parker had been a clone the entire time. It was bum bum bum, and then everyone hated it when they went back. But still, anytime there's a clone or a multiple version or a different version, it's always was the real one killed or not. So, but yeah, that's really all I had. This is a short episode. Major's very long-winded. We should have got Maurice in this episode. He'd still, I'm sure he's very, very expansive ideas on.
We're still at 46 minutes, so I think that's good.
Yeah, this is a short episode. We have less people here, and I think Matt didn't really watch Rings of Power, and I really don't have too many opinions on She-Hulk. It's just more Marvel stuff. It's just entertainment. It's just
it's not for us. Just admit it's not for us. It's for the next generation of kids. 15 years. It's not for us.
I don't even know if they'll be talking about it 10 or 15 years. Maybe rebel against their parents. They say they like She-Hulk, but even then, I don't think they would go that low. So, but House of the Dragon, I think it's quality television. It definitely seems to be getting the ratings and maybe not critical aplomb that Game of Thrones has, but it's, I'd say, a worthy successor series to Game of Thrones. But I think they definitely have much more money for season 1 of House of the Dragon than did for season 1 of Game of Thrones, because Game of Thrones is such a phenomenon. So I guess that can be good. But yeah, so we will be here next week, and we will talk about House of the Dragon again, episode 4, She-Hulk episode 4, Rings of Power episode 3, and Rick and Morty, I guess 1 and 2. So I guess that'll be a long ass episode, but that's what we're here for, to talk about this stuff and kill time. But yeah, I don't know our social media. I think I got
tweeted us a Z Zealot podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think we have an email, so you can find that. It might be tagged to our Spotify page. Yeah. I think we have a Discord too.
Should have a link to our Discord and on our Twitter.
Great job, team.
Yeah, look, I'm not the social media guy. I'm just the guy who records
our
it.
Social media guy is
and post it. Yeah, so. Look, we're on Twitter. If you can find us, we're on Spotify. If you can find us, if we're on Discord, you can find us. That's the journey. The part of the fun is discovering for yourself. So, but yeah, thanks for listening. I'm Forrest.
I'm Robbie.
You are not Major. And we're the Zeitgeist Zealots, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.